I was broke again. Rent was overdue, student loans were crushing me, and my fridge contained nothing but half a bottle of ketchup and a single shriveled lemon. So when I saw the ad on the university bulletin board, earn up to $5,000 in 1 week. Clinical trial. No prior conditions. Healthy participants only. I didn't think twice. The facility was a sleek white building about 40 minutes outside the city. Clinical. Cold. The kind of place that looked like nothing bad could ever happen there. The staff was overly friendly, wearing those fake smiles that stretched too far. After a short medical screening, they accepted me. Congratulations, they said. I should have known then. The trial was for a drug called R13. No details, just that it was designed to enhance cellular resilience. I didn't care what it meant. I signed the waiver and was shown to my room. It looked more like a dorm. Single bed, white walls, a desk, a window that didn't open. They gave us pills twice a day, morning and night. The first 3 days were fine. I actually felt great, like I could run a marathon. My mind was sharp. I was sleeping better than I had in years, but that feeling didn't last. On the 4th day, I noticed something strange. I was brushing my teeth when I leaned into the mirror, and my reflection didn't quite line up. Just a millisecond delay, like watching yourself through a laggy camera. I blinked and leaned back. It was gone. That same day, my skin began to itch. Not on the surface, but deep beneath it, like something crawling just under the dermis. When I scratched, I didn't feel relief, just more awareness of the movement. I brought it up to one of the white-coated doctors, and he just nodded and scribbled something on his clipboard. Common, he said. Adjustment phase. The other participants, there were 5 of us, started acting weird too. Kevin, the guy in the room next to mine, kept staring at the ceiling during meals. Sarah, who was always chatty, didn't say a word that day. Her eyes were bloodshot, and her hands trembled every time she lifted her fork. That night, my dreams changed. They weren't nightmares in the usual sense. They were experiences, vivid, suffocating. I dreamed of places I'd never seen, landscapes that bent physics, skies made of pulsing flesh, voices humming low like machines thinking in the dark. I woke up drenched in sweat and unable to shake the feeling that something was still in the room with me, watching. When I looked at my reflection the next morning, my pupils were no longer round. By day 6, the doors were locked. Not in a metaphorical sense, I mean actually locked. I tried to leave my room for breakfast and found the hallway doors sealed shut. No announcement, no explanation. When a staff member finally came by, she slid my meal tray through a hatch and walked away without making eye contact. The intercom buzzed to life an hour later. A calm, synthetic voice informed us that a minor containment protocol had been enacted due to an unexpected biological response in several subjects. We were assured this was standard and temporary. I didn't believe them. My skin had become different. Not visibly, at least not yet, but it no longer felt like skin. It was too dry, too tough, like paper soaked in wax. I tapped my fingernail against my arm and didn't feel it the way I should have. My sense of touch was fading, but something else was replacing it, something I didn't have words for. A kind of internal awareness of movement, of heat, of things that weren't there. Kevin was gone. His room was empty when I passed by, stripped clean, mattress gone, sheets folded like no one had ever used the bed. Sarah was still there, but I only heard her muttering through the wall. Nonsense phrases, fragments of equations, and sounds that didn't belong to any language I knew. The pills kept coming, slid under our doors twice daily. I stopped taking mine on day 7. That's when the real changes began. I thought skipping the pills would stop the effects. I was wrong. The changes weren't chemical anymore. They had embedded themselves deeper, like the drug had rewritten something fundamental in me, flipped a switch that couldn't be turned off. On the 8th day, I noticed my fingernails had grown longer overnight. Not just longer, sharper, like translucent blades. When I touched the wall, I could feel its structure, the molecules, the warmth of the pipes behind it. I stopped sleeping entirely. Not because I was afraid, but because I no longer needed it. My heart rate had slowed to less than half of what it was when I arrived, and yet I felt energized. The dreams were replaced with something worse, visions while I was awake. Layers of this facility peeling back in my mind, showing me places beneath the lab. Tunnels, chambers, creatures that didn't move with muscles, but with purpose, as if they were watching through me. I started hearing low-frequency vibrations at night, not sounds, but feelings, like a hum in the bones. The walls would breathe. I could sense the presence of the staff behind the mirrors. I think they knew I could tell. They stopped talking to us completely. No more intercoms. No more explanations. Just silence and more pills. I flushed them down the sink. I didn't want to become whatever they were turning us into, but I think it was already too late. On the 10th day, I looked in the mirror and didn't recognize myself. The skin on my face had smoothed out, becoming slightly reflective, not metallic, but unnatural. My eyes had elongated, the irises stretching into slits. I wasn't frightened anymore. That was the most terrifying part. I had no fear, just observation. As if the part of me that was human had dissolved quietly during the night. I tried to scream just to feel something human, but the sound that came out wasn't my voice. It was low, guttural, and didn't belong in the throat of any man. The staff no longer entered the hallways. They watched from observation rooms above us, scurrying like lab rats when I stared into the tinted glass. I could hear their heartbeats through the walls. Fast. Frantic. I wondered if they knew that I could smell the adrenaline leaking from their pores. I wasn't hungry anymore. The food trays remained untouched. I didn't need water. I didn't need sleep. My body had become something self-contained, efficient. I didn't even breathe in the usual way. I inhaled only when I remembered how to. And yet, something inside me still screamed. A fragment of who I used to be, buried, but alive. Trapped. I found a shard of metal near the vent. I dragged it across my arm, curious. The skin split open, revealing something beneath. Not flesh, not blood, just movement. A flickering, like static and heat waves, like light passing through liquid. I wasn't dying. I was shedding. It was around the 12th day when I saw them. Not the staff, the others. Whatever had happened to Kevin, to Sarah, to the 2 participants I barely spoke to, they were still here. But they were not themselves anymore. I found the door to the lower levels open. No alarms. No guards. Just a hallway leading down, like the facility had given up pretending. Or maybe it wanted me to see. Down there, beneath the laboratory, the air was thicker, warmer. The walls pulsed, subtly, like the inside of a lung. I passed glass chambers, dimly lit, filled with shapes. I recognized one of them. Kevin, or what used to be Kevin, was suspended in some kind of fluid. His face had stretched, eyes gone completely black. Veins pressed against his translucent skin like tangled roots. In another room, Sarah sat cross-legged, humming softly. Her mouth was stitched shut, but the sound still came out. Her hands moved in repetitive, meaningless patterns, tracing invisible symbols in the air. She didn't look up. She didn't have to. I could feel her awareness wrapping around me like a fog. They weren't being experimented on anymore. They had become part of the experiment. A doctor passed me in the hallway and didn't react. He avoided eye contact, his face pale. Maybe he knew trying to stop me was pointless now. Maybe they considered me one of the successes. I started to understand then. The drug was never meant to treat disease or enhance cognition. It was evolution, forced, accelerated, guided by something that didn't think like us, didn't value us. The lab wasn't a facility. It was a cocoon, and we were hatching. I don't know how many days have passed since then. Time doesn't behave the same way anymore. The clocks in the lab stopped ticking. Or maybe they're still ticking, and I've just stepped out of sync. The light in the facility no longer cycles. It's always dim, always humming. The walls are warm to the touch, like skin. I think the transformation is complete now. I don't sleep. I don't eat. I don't speak. But I understand things I shouldn't. I can sense the layout of the entire building at once. Every hallway, every room. I can feel the staff when they breathe. I hear the whispers of others like me, not with ears, but with something deeper. And I've realized something horrifying. There is no exit. Not because the doors are locked, they were once. But now, I've walked through every hallway, every emergency staircase, every maintenance shaft. They all lead back. Back to my room. Back to the observation level. Back to the lower chambers. The building loops in impossible ways. Like it's alive. Like it's growing. I think we're inside something that isn't supposed to exist in our world. And I'm not alone. More subjects are arriving. I've seen them through the glass. Nervous, hungry, hopeful. Just like I was. They don't know yet. But they will. I don't know if I'm writing this as a warning. I don't know if it'll ever leave this place. But if somehow you're reading this, don't take the pills. Don't sign the forms. Don't come looking for R13. I'm not human anymore. And you won't be either.